Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Kontakt.io's healthcare webinar. Today, we'll talk about patient workflows streamlined with amazingly simple IoT, featuring the launch of nanotech, the world's smallest wearable disposable BLE tech. So before we kick things off, I want to go over the platform that we'll be using. On the right-hand side at the bottom of your player, you will see a chat tab. Please be sure to send us your questions at any point of today's presentation. We'll be answering your questions during the Q&A. Since we are asked this question quite often, I just want to confirm that the following presentation will be available on demand. Within the next 48 hours, you should receive the recording via email. So for those who are new to Kontakt.io, we are the industry leader in indoor IoT services and Bluetooth Low Energy. We've been on the market for a decade, providing complete solutions for healthcare and smart buildings. Our Bluetooth Low Energy solutions cover more than 30,000 locations over 3 million beacons in the field and are delivered through more than 1,000 partners. Our mission is to better connect people, location, and things to create meaningful insights, safer workplaces, and lessen waste through simple, affordable, and accessible solutions. So our speaker today is Kapil Asher. As a healthcare practice leader, Kapil works with hospitals in solving challenges related to improving patient care while optimizing use of capital and operational resources. He has dedicated over 10 years of his career to healthcare IoT, gaining expertise in sensor technology, network architecture, workflow optimization, and user experience. So before I hand the mic over to Kapil, I'd like us to go quickly through today's agenda. To start, Kapil will spend a couple of minutes covering key challenges the healthcare sector is facing when it comes to improving patient workflows and experience. This will draw us to the reasons how we followed our amazingly simple IoT philosophy to develop nanotech. Kapil will then cover our hardware and software solution offer, spending a couple of minutes on the live demo. He will then follow with the other use cases you can introduce in your hospital to improve clinical outcomes and patient care, and we'll close with the Q&A. So as a reminder, please be sure to send us your questions throughout the entire session. With that, Kapil, can you please tell us a little bit about the current challenges healthcare is facing, especially when it comes to improving patient workflows and experience?
Sure. Thanks, Aneta. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know this is a global webinar and we have audience from all over the world. So I wish you all very well. Before I begin, I always like to start with the current challenges and how we can help fix those challenges, right? So when we talk about patient clinical workflows, I know there are 100 different challenges that a healthcare professional may be facing on a day-to-day basis. But I want to pick on the top four ones that we experience in our daily talks with healthcare professionals such as yourselves. So first one, I would like to say inefficient workflows. So COVID is still on in some places, but going away in other places. And elective surgeries are back, elective procedures are back in pockets of different areas in the country and the world, and that obviously provides some exponential influx of new patients. These are patients who are putting out uh, elective surgeries, elective procedures. They were pushing it down the line because they wanted to make sure that they don't enter a hospital in a COVID environment. But now they can no longer, go without the treatment that they deserve and need. So this massive influx in patients can obviously add to bottlenecks in a outpatient surgery area or a ambulatory services area. And these bottlenecks and recognizing where these bottlenecks are coming from is becoming extremely challenging. We are dealing with long wait times, not only in the waiting room or in the lobby, but also during the different phases of care within the procedure they are coming to take care of, right? Um, so these long wait times obviously reduce patient satisfaction. They don't want to be in pain. They want to go in and out and get their procedure done as soon as possible. With poor patient experience comes reduced HCAP scores. And we all know that HCAP directly ties to reimbursements from Medicare and Medicaid. So, not being on top of your workflows and not efficiently moving patients through different workflows can cause an issue with the reimbursements and top line revenue. Now, the second one is inefficient room utilization, right? So, meeting demand with the resources that you currently have, maybe it's human resources, your nursing staff, your medical assistants, your physicians, and even your physical space, right? Do you have sufficient exam rooms to meet the extended demand? It becomes very challenging if you don't have data which is being captured in real time. You don't have any evidence to prove that your resources are not matched to the demand you have. Even on the flip side, it could be that you have enough resources or you have more resources than you need, and you don't have enough patients coming in, and you may be losing money on the table by not adding appointments in a given day. So that data is also important, so that now you can give 10 more appointments in the day compared to what you were doing before. Then the other challenge that we hear about from a patient satisfaction standpoint is the patient provider time. How much time did the provider, the nurse, the physician, how much time did they spend with the patient in during their visit? We often hear the patients complain that I was sitting in the exam room for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and no one even showed up to check on me. And that's an important metric to it's an important metric to monitor and follow, and provide some training to your staff to go and check in on the patient once in a while. And then finally, the environmental conditions. What was the temperature of the room that the patient was situated in? How humid was it inside? Was it clean enough? All these environmental conditions are becoming very important. It's almost like visiting a hotel and finding that the room was not turned over to the satisfaction of the guest that comes in, right? So all these lead to poor experience if the health system is not on top of that. And these challenges have not been, they're not new challenges. They've always been around for a long time. And there are many companies out there trying to deal with these challenges with their own little technology platform that they've come up with. So I can say honestly, since maybe 10 or 12 years, there are real-time location sensing companies out there and trying to fix these challenges in their own little way. And the expected outcomes have always been the same. The expected outcomes have always been that the healthcare professionals want a turnkey solution. They don't want to deal with finding components from different companies and having to bring them all together to develop the solution. They want one company to come in and provide all the different components and provide them with a turnkey experience, a white glove experience, if you will. Then they are obviously looking for something low cost, and low cost can go across the board. They want tags that are not very expensive. They want infrastructure that's not expensive, if any infrastructure, right? There are ways to leverage current existing infrastructure as well. They want on installation prices to be cheap, ongoing maintenance to be cheap, and most important, they don't want to add additional FTEs just to babysit and maintain the system. It should be easy enough that it just blends in the day-to-day workflow of the health system and does not require additional hires to maintain it. Then they want something which is flexible from a hardware standpoint. So hardware is evolving on a daily basis. They don't want to be stuck with a system that cannot incorporate the new innovations in hardware. They want it to be interchangeable. So if there's a new sensor or a new tag that comes up in the future, it just is able to be incorporated within their system very easily. And of course, scalability. You start with one use case and you extend up to multiple different use cases as the health system matures. All of that obviously leads to a quick ROI, quick time to value. But what do they get instead? They get the short end of the stick. Unfortunately, there are multiple IoT protocols and networks that are out there. We have LoRa, 900 megahertz, 13 megahertz, ultra wideband. All of these different networks do just one single point solution. They don't scale into multiple solutions. And it becomes a maze of disparate systems that do not talk to each other unless you write expensive integrations or interfaces to communicate between the systems. uh, it ties them into this monopolistic nature, and we know the downsides of monopolism from our other experiences. It leads to lack of innovation. It leads to a lack of cost competition. The vendor sets a high price and they usually stick to it because there is no competitive force that's forcing that cost to come down. And it overall stunts the industry from a growth perspective, slows down the innovation velocity. All these systems are really hard to manage. You need certified technicians, you need on-site server maintenance. The batteries deplete much earlier than the marketing document suggests, and all of this increases the ongoing maintenance for these systems, and that leads to high cost and a long time to value. So we are in 2021, slowly approaching into 2022, and we need something simple, affordable, and accessible, which is based on open standards like Wi-Fi and BLE, both of which are an extremely widespread network protocol that's used by different sectors of the electronics world. So Kontakt.io has adopted these open standards as their pillars of the core technology. So from the sensor side, from the tags, from the environmental monitoring sensor side, we use Bluetooth Low Energy as our base protocol for communications with different gateways that are from the part of the infrastructure. And there are benefits of Bluetooth and devices, which I'll talk about in a bit. From an application standpoint, we have standardized on cloud. So we offer cloud as a service, and cloud offers a lot of flexibility and scalability as the health system grows with their deployment. And it frees up IT from having to maintain and expand upon the servers on-prem, and just gives that amazing amount of flexibility for future growth. From a data transfer standpoint, we've used APIs, which are based on open standards. So any a third-party application that develops an app for a niche use case can consume our location data fairly easily through an API stream or even from native API calls. So we've dislocated, I mean, we have disjointed the location engine from the end user app so that you can develop an end user ad very specific to the use case you're using. But we take over the location engine piece of it and just supply that information to you. And then finally, we are using the power of machine learning and AI to make our systems learn on their own, right? So we don't require certified technicians or RF engineers to go down and tune the hardware every time there's a change in the environment. Our edge computing devices and our machine learning algorithms self-correct themselves and improve upon the location engine and location accuracy on their own without any expensive resources going on site. So just how the solutions are delivered. I will spend very quick time on this slide, but we are very use case centric. We can start at one use case and like Lego puzzles, we can add on more use cases as we go. We can start with what fits your budget, right? So we can start with a smaller scale deployment, and then we can go up in phases as you need and as you add more use cases into your system. And finally, we provide turnkey. So we have all the components that would be needed for your solution to be successful. We can leverage any existing pieces of infrastructure that you may have, but if not, we can bring our own infrastructure devices as well. So you don't have to look around for making the solution work. You ask, what about devices? All of the solution piece and the network piece is great, but can you tell me a little bit more about devices? Well, that's what this webinar is about today. Um, a little bit of a history of what patient tracking devices have been so far for decades. They've relied on proprietary protocol, like I explained earlier. They've been expensive in the $10 to $50 range. They've been they've been complex, bulky. As you can see, some of the pictures of these old tags. They're not from the 2021 generation, like I would like to call it. And if they are not disposable, there are very few disposable tags on the market, then it becomes very expensive to reprocess them, right? Take them off the patient, make sure they don't take the tags with them home, and then decommission it from the software and sanitize it again. All of that becomes a very expensive reprocess workflow that you're paying some high paid employees to do, right? So change has come, not to worry, because we are relying on Bluetooth, and we have come up with a design of a tag that will make this system a very inexpensive method of operating. So using Bluetooth is in more than 4 billion consumer electronics devices now, and the projected growth is 6.5 billion by end of 2025. And we did a webinar with Bluetooth Special Interest Group very recently. I encourage you to sign up and look at that. But there are some more statistics shared on that webinar with the growth of Bluetooth itself. Um, so what this massive scale means to us, this massive scale means that there is more R&D money getting poured into it, which makes the chips faster, better performance, and better optimized for battery life. And we can leverage all those investments in Bluetooth within our own products. And this scale cannot be matched by any proprietary protocol that's doing maybe 100,000 devices a year. So on the basis of Bluetooth, say hello to the Nano Tag. So the Nano Tag is our latest portfolio product. It is the world's smallest disposable wearable BLE. I'm holding one in my hand right now, if you can see my camera. It's This is what the tag looks like. It's really small. So some specs about the nano tag. From a size perspective, it's a little bit larger than a US dime. If you are not from the United States, then again, you can take a look at my hand over here. It's one of the tiniest BLE tags you would find in the marketplace today. Some other specs, it's based on BLE. It is IP65, so it's waterproof. The patients can shower with it without any problem. It supports any standard printable hospital band. So we supply the tags with our own band, but you don't have to use them. You could use any standard issued patient plastic tag that goes through a printer and prints the name or barcode of the patient. And you can simply pass this tag through the strap of the band. It has a 3-month battery life after activation. So we ship them to you unactivated. You can activate it with a press of a button. And from there on, the timer starts. Up to 3 months, it would be active, after which it'll just simply die. That covers short stay patients. It covers your daily patients, outpatient visits, all of those fairly easily. So you wouldn't have to worry about going into an older model of tag that has a larger battery life, because we can cover most of the patient's stay during the 3 months period. It has an antibacterial casing as an option. We are targeting the price to be just under $5 in high volumes. And we can, even talk about, if possible, we can talk about a little lower price if the volumes are there to justify that. It works with standard iOS, Android, and any Bluetooth-enabled gateway. Example, Cisco's DNA spaces, all the access points, the latest access points have BLE scanner in them, and it is absolutely compatible with that environment. So as you get the shipment in, you log into your DNA Spaces account, you click on the order ID, and all of your tags get imported within your own ecosystem. All right, it's green battery technology, so it doesn't have any lithium ion. It uses a non-toxic silver oxide battery, which makes it recyclable from with any electronic devices or plastic recycling method that you may be using. And this just makes that easily disposable. So the patients can take the tags with them at home as souvenirs if they would like, and just simply throw it in the recycling bin at the end of their stay. All right, so tags themselves are just one piece of the puzzle. Obviously, we want to talk about the entire Kontakt.io solution offering for patient optimization. We have a line of product portfolios. We have the portal beam, which I'll talk about. We have some asset tags. We have anchor beacons for wayfinding. We also have staff tags. And all of these are designed and built within the Kontakt.io umbrella. And they're all BLE based. So none of these devices you see, except for the gateway talk Wi-Fi, they are all BLE protocol based. So I'll start with the smart tag. The smart tag is our version of the smart badge that a staff member would use. The way we designed it is we made it more of a tag holder. So it's not the tag itself, it's the holder of another plastic tag, which the nurse or the staff member may be used to carrying for access control or for any other reasons to identify themselves. The way we designed it is so that we wanted to reduce the number of tags that a staff member carries on their day-to-day basis, and we kind of integrate all of them within one piece of device or a wearable that they carry. These tags come with two programmable buttons that can be used for any sort of distress signal or staff duress situation. And once they click on the button, it can be relayed all the way to the security over a text message or an email or a phone call. And we even, create a code announcement on the PA system if you would like. These are 4 years battery life, and they can be used in both horizontal and vertical position. They do have an IR sensor, which makes them room level accurate, and I'll talk about that in a second. What does that mean? The portal light is our gateway device. It converts all the Bluetooth data into Wi-Fi. So you plug them into the wall. It has a pass-through AC outlet, so you don't lose the real estate of the AC outlet. You can plug anything that's rated 110 volt into this device, and it'll work exactly the same as plugging into the AC outlet on the wall. It's converts all the BLE data into Wi-Fi, so that's what scans all the BLE sensors around it, and then aggregates all that data and sends it up to the cloud where it's further processed. Because it's plugged in, there is no worry about battery life on this device, and it does not even require any cable pulls or PoE data drops. You can just plug them into the wall and just go on your way. It literally takes 2 minutes to install it. It also provides you with RSSI based room location. So if you just want near room level accuracy, 95, 98% room level accuracy, you can simply install these devices in patient rooms and hallways, and that'll give you that near room level accuracy based on RSSI. But if you want 100% room level accurate system in the patient rooms, we prescribe something called the portal beam. The portal beam is a device that goes up in the ceiling. It emits IR, so it's an IR beacon. So it floods the entire room with infrared, and infrared is light based, so it cannot penetrate through walls. So as tags come in contact with this IR, they know that they are in a specific room because the IR ID is associated with that room. This is a battery operated device. It also has a 4 year battery life. It uses standard AA industrial batteries, so you can just buy them off the shelf. There are other sensors within the device, which I'll talk about in a bit. But it also acts as a wayfinding beacon. So with IR, it also emits wayfinding beacons over BLE. So if you have this device up in the ceiling, you don't need an anchor beacon or any other beacon for wayfinding. This doubles up as both those use cases. From a design consideration standpoint, we have two options. So we can have the portal beams in patient rooms and just use Cisco access points for the data backhaul piece. So the IR beacons, the portal beams will provide with you with the room level accuracy, and then the Cisco carries that data back up to the cloud, which then goes into our end user app. Or we can also have our own portal lights. So in case the hospital is in a situation where they're not using the Cisco access points, we can also provide our own portal lights for the data backhaul piece. Or you can even have a combination of both. So you can have Cisco in certain areas, and you can have our own portal lights in certain other areas. to enhance what you have from them already. All right, so I will quickly show you a demonstration of our application when it comes to patient tracking and patient workflows. Uh, so I can do this share screen. Aneta, can you just give me a quick shout if you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
All right, perfect. So we are a web-based application. So all you need to have is a web browser that can launch to a specific URL. We have roles-based account creation. So depending on what role has been assigned to you from your organization, you would have a different landing page, and you would have certain privileges that is associated with the role you have. So for a super administrator, we would have a full gamut of settings that they can alter and change. But for a basic user, they can only access maybe a map or a list view to find certain things. So I just opened up the map view. I would go and expand one of the maps, and we have different icons that can depict certain things like assets and staff and patients. And even within assets, we have multiple different icons that can designate a different device category. So if I were to search for a specific patient, I would just go into the search and start typing the name. Um, oh, so sorry, my keyboard is not working. um, may have lost my connection. But I would just start typing the name of the person that I'm looking for, and it would immediately start showing up where they are currently located. From so if you have wandering patients, or they were supposed to check in at a certain time but you're not able to find them, you can quickly go in and search for them, and you would see that they are out in the cafeteria or just wandering in the hall somewhere. Then I would like to show our patient room board. So, sorry, just give me 1 second. So, we have a patient room board, which can be seen right here. So this is the dashboard that the registration desk would have open on their screen. So as the patient comes in, they are given a specific tag, and the tag gets assigned into the system. Or we can even have the integration with Epic or any other major EMR systems that you may be using. So you can just enter the registered patient in the EMR and assign them a tag there, and that data gets pushed down to our system, so we can start tracking it from there. So the room board, depending on how it is occupied, whether there's a provider in there, whether there's a nurse in there, whether the patient is alone, all of those room states can be displayed on our dashboard over here. And you can even they get automatically changed as the patient goes in and out, or the provider goes in and out. But you can also go in and manually change the state of a room by selecting one of these options over here. And these options are all configurable. So, depending on what workflow you're using, we can provide those room statuses within the system. Now, the main purpose of patient workflow is kind of seeing the cycle time, right? How much time is the patient is on an average spending in different phases of care. So we can have a quick dashboard view that shows that. We can see that, it looks like they're spending on an average 17 minutes in the waiting area, which seems too high. So let's see what resources we can add or what workflow changes we can make to reduce this wait time. Looks like we are doing okay with discharge, and an average 3-minute wait time for discharge, so we don't have to do anything over there. Looks like we're doing 15 minutes of patient provider time. That seems in a relatively good area, but we could improve that. So all of this data is used for further analytics, and you don't have to stop right here. You can use this data to be sent to any other BI tool like Tableau, Allscripts, MicroStrategy, anything that you may be using, and do further analysis on all this real-time data that you get from the system. Then I wanted to just quickly show the room utilization report. So based on how the rooms are utilized, we can say like looks like exam room 101 was more patient was it was more unoccupied than it was, whereas exam 110 seems like it was not occupied at all. So maybe we can do some workload balance and utilize them all at the same time. And if you see that one exam room is not utilized at all, that means you have more capacity to add patient appointments within the system without adding to any more resources. So that's a very valuable data for you to make a intelligent business decision. And then we also have a family view board. The big problem with outpatient clinics is that the family members are waiting outside, just always wanting to know what the status is with their loved ones. And they keep bothering the registration desk or the nurse all the time. So instead of doing that, we can just display the family board on the big screen, and we assign a HIPAA compliant ID to them, which identifies their patient to the family. And then we just show them in what phase of care are they and how long they've been over there. So it just reduces the amount of back and forth between family members and the staff. So this is just an example of what we can do with our system. Obviously, every workflow is different. We can customize the workflow based on your specific needs. But I just wanted to show you an example of all the different possibilities. All right, back to you, Aneta, with the screens. All right, we go into application demo, and then we talk a little bit about hospital of the future. So I spoke about the portal beam. It has multiple environmental monitorings. It's not just a wayfinding beacon and an IR monitor. It actually has about 9 environmental monitoring sensors, including temperature, humidity, light, motion, air quality, smoke detection, air pressure, and then also human occupancy. So it has a thermal scanner that scans a room and figures out if there is a human present in there. And it can also say the number of people in there. And that's all unidentified because there's no facial recognition. And if you don't have a tag on the patient, it can simply tell you that there are 2 people in the room. It won't be able to identify which ones unless you give them a tag. So what this helps, right? It helps with using our APIs integration and the environmental monitoring sensor. We can essentially provide a hospital of the future now. You don't have to wait for the future. It can be done right now. We can enable multiple use cases from environmental condition monitoring. So you can optimize your energy consumption in the building, in the facility. We can integrate with building management systems, facilities management systems, and kind of reduce your energy consumption based on how occupied the building is. So if a patient room is not occupied, there's no sense to run the AC, there's no sense to keep the heat on, and you can improve your electricity and energy consumption bills on a annual basis. Um, we can also make sure the patient is comfortable in their setting. Like I said, from a surgical unit, you want to make sure the air quality is at an optimized level, the humidity is at an optimized level. Otherwise, it could lead to infections, which we can prevent with our technology over here. And then finally, I want to talk about digital front door. It's gaining a lot of traction lately. When with mobile apps like MyChart from Epic or some other applications that the hospital develops on their own for their own patients, it's very useful to patient for the patient to have that app on their phone, and as they enter the hospital, they kind of get the notification of their appointment. They can kind of navigate to their doctor's appointment on a timely basis, and they kind of reduce anxiety on a daily basis. So I think, Aneta, I'm running over time. So I would like to pass it back to you, but that was the end of my presentation. Thank you.